Okay, so we've got another CPU this time that is running decently cool without even having a cooler on. This one is a AMD K6. It's running a bit hotter than the Ryzen MP6 that I showed previously, but it is still running without a cooler. And fun fact, the text that is printed on the surface of the CPU causes enough of a temperature drop that I can actually see it. So it's a 233 megahertz K6. It's supposed to run at 3.2 volts, but it is currently undervolted all the way down to 1.8 volts and running just like the MP6 at 133 megahertz. Now it's a bit toastier than the MP6 was ever running at the same clocks and voltage, but it is still cool enough to touch at least for a few seconds without it becoming uncomfortable. And well, you can't really see it on the screen, but it is currently booted into Windows XP. So let me try just like moving the window around. I'm opening Task Manager right now. CPU usage settles at about 10% idle, but when I move around the window, that's going to raise the CPU usage. So you can see the temperature of the CPU is rising now that the CPU is under load, and you can actually just barely can kind of see the die itself as a hotspot underneath the IHS. But it also appears that 40 something degrees Celsius is about as hot as it will get. So 45, 46. Like I actually have to put in effort to get it to heat up. 47. 48, just barely. And the moment I stop dragging the window around to make the CPU spike to 100, it starts dropping again. So this is a 100% passively cooled CPU without even a heatsink. It is just being cooled by its IHS. And I will say that I would probably be better off running benchmarks than dragging around Task Manager. Let's open CPU-Z real quick and run a benchmark from there, or a stress tester, I don't know, something. Let's take off the thermal camera lens again, so that then we can kind of have a wider view. And let's try stressing the CPU. Now the power switch for the PSU is right beneath my hand right now, so if something goes wrong or the temperature starts spiking more than I'm comfortable with, then I can immediately cut the power. Do not try this at home. Okay, so it's stressing the CPU now. We should be getting some raising temperatures. I'm going to put the thermal camera lens back on so that then we can get a better view close up. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 2.3, 51. I think if it reaches around 60, that's when I'm gonna stop things. It is really struggling to... Yeah, it is really struggling to reach 52 right now. Okay, there's 52. That's just tracking the hotspot right now. 52.2, 0.4, 0.3. Oh, 0.7, 0.8, 53. CPU-Z is still functioning, it's still responsive. 53.6, 54. So it is finally starting to rise a little bit. So I think part of the reason why it's rising at all might just be because the IHS has become a bit heat soaked. It just cannot absorb more heat, and because there's currently no fan at all aside from the PSU fan, there is no airflow to carry this away aside from whatever is just like there from convection. Okay, reaching 56. Yeah, there's 56. CPU-Z is still responsive. How's the rest of the components looking? We've got 57 on the CPU. Cache is about 50. L2 tag is 44. Chipset 44-ish. Clock generator chip is freaking out at 61. Voltage regulators are decently cool. I mean, at 1.8 volts, it's really not drawing that much power. 57 still. I will say though that now that the CPU is heated up, you can really see the logo printed on it now compared to before. That's interesting. And you can see it's kind of been weathered off as well a bit from actually having a cooler on it in the past. So let's clip that back on. Yeah, you can, with the lens on, you can see in detail the logo just from how little heat is passing through it by comparison. So the logo itself, 55. So just the text itself on the CPU is enough to give a 2 degrees Celsius difference compared to the metal directly under and beside it. Okay, we're about to hit 60. Let's see what happens when I stop the stress test. Okay, stress test is stopped. And as expected, the temperatures are starting to drop. It's dropping slowly though, because like, once again, there is no semblance of cooling aside from just the IHS itself. So, it's dropping, but not that much. Wait, actually, did it raise? Or is it just an effect of taking off the lens? Might just be an effect of the lens. Yeah, it's just an effect of the lens. It's still kind of hovering as it's usual. So, this is a AMD CPU running completely and entirely passively cooled. the clock generator chip still beats it out as far as temperature reach, but I'm not willing to stress the CPU much more without any kind of heatsink. You can see this is the cooler here in comparison. It is very nice and cool in comparison. Let's see, we've got the graphics chipset, the sound card, the post analyzer card. So this is a real thermal camera, just to like get that aside. It's not a filter or anything. Anyway, let's see if, yeah, I forgot that I can do picture-in-picture. So yeah, this is the CPU itself, AMD. That's Windows XP there. Yeah, I should have just had picture-in-picture mode the entire time, but oh well. So yeah, it's 61 degrees, so it's not the best to touch, but you can still touch it with your bare hands without being immediately scorched. So, yeah. Toasty. But really not that bad. Yeah, that is definitely heat soaked now. It is unable to absorb any more temperature, and so without something dissipating it, it is just gonna keep on like pulling or getting soaked with heat. Let's see what happens if I do this. That's kind of working. Well, that's one way to cool your CPU. Yeah, that brought down temperatures a bit. Still climbing slowly though, but this has been running for 12 minutes now with no cooler. Anyway, yeah, that's the next part of my weird little experiment done. My main plan was actually to compare multiple CPUs in terms of like instructions per clock, so I was going to run them all at the same clock speed, but I found it very interesting that several of these CPUs could be undervolted this far and still run stable and run decently cool at the same time. Okay, bye.